everybody. And hi, Swati. Welcome to this conversation.
Hi,
Uh,
thank you so
this
much.
is, yeah, and this is a part of an Inc. Her collaboration we have between Herky and Inc., where we are interviewing 49 women.
Okay.
And why 49? Because 49.6% of the world is women. So we said, why
Hmm.
not we talk to 49 amazing women of Indian origin, mostly from India, about their journey, about what they're doing. It's part the company specific, part person, part insights, etc. So we're just
Hmm.
going to have fun, have a conversation for about half an hour. We have
Okay.
audience, they'll be asking questions.
Okay.
So we'll have a Q&A, and that's the plan today. Um, so Swati, I thought let's get into your business first
Okay.
before we go to your personal stuff. You know, you are the founder of Cash Karo, and you've really like started at a time when it wasn't that familiar or popular in India about trust around coupons and things like that, etc. And obviously, you've been very successful. I'm curious to find out from you what's been like the biggest aha moment for you from
Hmm.
doing this business, and were there any surprise things or an
Hmm.
insight that you got into the customer? So tell us a little bit about how the business works, but and really a lot about what are the insights you got? What did you think when you started, and what is it today?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll give you a brief introduction. So I grew up in a small town called Ambala. I got a scholarship to study in
I'm going to
Singapore.
ask all those questions later.
You
So
will
I
ask
want to,
later. Okay, okay,
yeah,
fine. I
yeah,
thought that
I'm good.
I'll build up to the business from the personal. So fine.
We're
So
just
Cash
throwing a
Karo,
little
Earn Karo.
wrench in
Yeah,
that
we have
flow.
two apps in India, and Cash Karo is the largest cashback app. So if you're
Correct.
shopping online on Amazon, Flipkart, Nykaa, Myntra, any D2C site also, you go from Cash Karo and we give you extra cashback on your purchase. So it started off as us kind of looking at the US, UK, and seeing how cashback as a model was doing really well there, and we thought we should bring it to India because the product market fit here will be really good. And we did that, and it did take off really well. People loved the idea of saving money, getting money back. And what we realized is that actually, while we've always focused on the consumer side, the bigger reason why this business works and it makes sense is because the e-commerce sites actually who work with us, they are finding it very difficult to acquire customers from Google and Meta at a cost that makes sense. So the cost
Mhm.
of customer acquisition currently is very high on these channels, and that's why they were also looking for alternative forms of marketing. So when we approached them, it kind of made sense that both the parties were looking for each other, and that's why we've been able to work with all the top e-commerce sites, and bring down their cost of customer acquisition. And that has been the main reason why we were able to scale the business, because partners want to spend money with us. And what we realized was that while Kashkaro is good for individual customers, there was need in the market for a product like Earn Karo, which we launched 4 years ago,
Mhm.
which is used by all influencers to make their affiliate links, and they share these links in their Telegram group, WhatsApp group, Instagram, and when people shop via that link, they earn money. So content creation has really grown post COVID, and out there in the market, people are looking for ways to make money while they are creating content, monetize the communities that they have. So if, let's say, there's a 1 lakh base that someone has, rather than just saying that, hey, shop on Amazon, Flipkart directly, when you're sharing deals, sharing recommendations, they put their affiliate links in it, so they get money. They get 10%, 20%, 30%. People have saved, I mean, they're earning right now 20, 30 lakhs a month. So those kind of earnings are just phenomenal. So that was the biggest insight, that sometimes you start off thinking that this is what you're doing and that's why it will work, because cashback is product market fit, people like to save money. But then you realize that actually there's a bigger problem of customer acquisition that we're solving, and a version of it, which is Earn Karo, is actually more a viral product, because people are making a lot of money. So anything that
Mhm.
creates that kind of impact will always do well.
So it's interesting. So in one, you're reducing the customer acquisition. In the other, they have the customer, but you're making it
Yes,
easy to offer their
yes,
thing. So
yes,
it's like two aspects of what you're doing is
correct, correct.
helping two
Yeah,
different customers.
yeah, yeah.
And like what is like, tell me some numbers, like how many people have used this, how much
Yeah.
coupons have been,
Yeah, yeah.
used,
Well, we have
etc.
27 million members across Cash Karo and Earn Karo. And there are, when we drive close to $1 billion in sales every year for our partners. So Cash
Hmm.
Karo does it by giving cash back, Earn Karo does it by enabling influencers to make their links. And,
Hmm.
the partners are the same. So even on Earn Karo, you can be like, I can promote this dress from Myntra and say that I'm putting my Myntra affiliate link, or I can promote the cream I'm using from Nykaa and put the Nykaa affiliate link. So it is the same partners that we're promoting in both. So $1 billion in sales is what we will do this year. That will be like a big milestone for us.
Hmm.
And last year we drove about 3 billion in traffic to our partners. Sorry, 2.3 billion. 2.3 billion in traffic to our partners. So that's the amount of clicks and sessions that they're getting from us. And on average, from Earn Karo, people are earning about a lakh a month,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
which is basically 12 lakhs a year, and that is more than what that's actually three times the basic salary that people earn in India when they join, which is not even basic. I'm assuming 4 lakhs. 4 lakhs
Correct.
annum is what DU students earn as a
Hmm.
first time job.
Yeah, yeah. And do you actually have a community?
Mm.
Obviously, you have a community of partners, etc. But how do you keep engaging with them? I mean, do you interact with them regularly? Just like, VCs have LP gatherings and things like
Yeah,
that. Do you bring them
yeah,
together, or how
yeah.
do you keep in touch with so many of them?
Well, for Earn Karo, we actually do organize events,
Hmm.
and we do get the community of influencers who uses us together, especially the top influencers and sometimes the not top ones also, because they also get inspired to meet the others. Okay, this is how somebody else is earning 10 lakhs a month, so I am only earning 10,000. So how do I bridge that gap? So we do
Mm.
that. For Cash Karo, we haven't really done any events because, like you said, it's
Sure.
22 million members.
Yeah.
But for them, we try to therefore have a very vibrant online community. So
Hmm.
Cash Karo Instagram is quite active. We create, I think we create good content. We try to make it funny, relatable, everything.
Hmm.
And that's partly why I myself got into content creation as well, because I
Yeah.
think for when you hear a founder talk about the brand, it is a lot more from the heart. Whereas when you see
Yes.
a celeb do it, they've been paid to do it. So
Correct.
that storytelling comes more naturally to founders.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, this is where you are. You've been successful, and actually, you and your husband Rohan do this
Yes.
together.
Yes.
So how has that been for you? I mean,
Yeah.
you're
I think
talking
it's been the biggest
24/7
blessing.
about work. Is that good? Is that bad? How has it
Yeah,
been? And how
yeah.
do you divide the work?
Well, I think working with Rohan has been the biggest blessing. I think it's also one of our biggest strengths as a couple, as a business, as a couple entrepreneur running the business together. I think because we have different skill sets, we bring those together, and that is when a really strong team is formed. So
Mhm.
I'm really happy that we have that synergy. But it's not true that we discuss about business 24/7, even if we work together. Because I think, we've been working together for 12 years now.
Yeah.
And we live together. So in this bedroom, when we come back in the evening together, we are just like, no more work, because both of us are tired. But at the same time, you have that flexibility with each other where you understand each other, you know what you're going through. So
Mhm.
therefore, if one person, if I come back and I'm really pissed off about something, or if something is in my mind, I'm like, can I just tell you what happened today? He'll be like, yeah, tell me. Because then he knows that I want to talk. I need that
Yeah.
person there right now. And similarly for him. So we can feel like when the other person has to get it out, and we let them. But
Mm.
when it is a discussion, so let's say if I have told him, but then he says, you know what, we need to actually redo the strategy for product. So I said, "Acha, let's not do this at 10 p.m. Let's do it tomorrow." It'll be like, "Haan, theek hai, okay." So we'll do it tomorrow. So I think we've established that comfort now, where we look at each other like, not now. So it's like, is समय नहीं, like
And how do you divide, like who does what, and
yeah,
who has the last word in that? I mean, not as husband and wife, but as
yeah,
areas of
yeah.
work.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that is really has been driven by our own strengths as individuals. So Rohan is strong on the tech side, data, product. It's also like when we started the business, it's not that we had these strengths. Like he was not a techie. And before this, both of us were into finance. So technically, none of us came with skills or strengths already. But it is also where we were naturally inclined to, and where we thought that, best business outcome will come because we are interested in that. And
Mhm.
I think that makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So he gravitated towards product, tech, data, automation, and actually productizing customer experience itself, not
Mm-hmm.
just CRM team, but how we are using AI to put in chatbots to make our people more productive, more efficient. I naturally gravitated more towards branding, marketing, PR, social media, investor side. So
Mm-hmm.
because what you actually like is what you will do well, right? And then I mean, it's
Right.
your business. You have to like it. You have to enjoy it. So we divide
Right.
based on our natural skill set.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, and going backwards, you worked at Goldman Sachs before you decide. I
Yeah.
mean, you did another startup before this, actually. And how was that experience? Did that feed into this? And I wanted to talk a little bit about your transition from Goldman Sachs into this. So, how
Yeah.
was it for, first of all, for you to say, okay, here you are in a great position and you are actually working with the co-CEOs, you are doing a lot of high
Yeah.
profile job, and in the middle of it to say, okay, I'm going to quit this and do a
Yeah.
startup.
Yeah.
Was it like you just woke up one day and said, I'm going to do this, or what? How did that whole transition happen? You just didn't want to miss
Yeah.
something, or what was it?
Yeah. A lot of people ask me that what gave you the courage to leave $100,000 job at Goldman Sachs and go into zero paycheck? And how does a founder do that, especially when you start your business?
Yeah.
And I think it comes from knowing that actually doing a startup will only make you richer in that experience and more employable. And therefore, do you really have that much to lose? Because what you have to lose is that time. Let's say if you tell yourself that, okay, I'm going to try this for the next 2 years. Yes, during those 2 years, you're not taking a salary, but it's not that after that, if you need to go back to a job, you can't. I think
Hmm.
it's knowing that your skills, your education, your previous work experience has set you up to be able to get that kind of job which you had even before you left. And
Hmm.
uske baad, when you try something and let's say it doesn't work, people will appreciate the fact that you had the guts and the courage to try. So even at
Hmm.
Cashflow today, if I interview someone who has been an ex-entrepreneur, we always think that this person is better to hire than somebody who hasn't, because they've gone into that deep end and really got their hands dirty. They've worked at solving problems, trying to solve. There are a lot of reasons why startups don't work. It may or may not be just because that person wasn't fine. It could be wrong
Hmm.
timing of the product, the funding they couldn't raise, or whatever else. Lots of issues. So for us it was knowing that, look, we can go and get a job if this doesn't work. And we really like the product. So when we used a cashback app ourselves, we said, wow, this is so cool. You get money back for online shopping. If anybody could do that, why wouldn't they? जिसको
Yeah.
पैसा मिल रहा हो और याद रहे, they will never leave it. So that's
Correct.
why we just really like the product, and we said, okay, we want to try this out. And I think when it comes to the issue of should you leave a job to start a business, it really is about the conviction that you have, because most people around you will tell you not to, because
Correct.
stability is something that is our comfort zone. We don't want to leave it. That change
Correct.
is not something that we always want to embrace. Plus, our family around us also, they'll be more supportive, but even they will be scared of that change, what that might bring out. So they'll say,
Hmm.
think about it. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because right now, is your job really bad? You have money coming in. You're getting promoted in a year. They will
Yeah.
always make you see that. But if you do believe in an idea, and you do believe that over time it can actually make you more money, then
Hmm.
this is how you generate wealth. A
Hmm.
job can give you money, but your own business can help you generate wealth. And if
Hmm.
you're ready to put in the hours needed, that fighting spirit to really run that business through and through, because there are
Hmm.
going to be a lot of ups and downs that you may or may not see coming, and you'll have to ride it all. And that riding it
Yeah.
all will come from your faith in your business, your faith in your abilities. So
Yeah.
this doesn't come from any education; it just comes from within and with experience also, I think.
Yeah. And also, I mean, in a way for you, there's no safety net, right? You both decided to start this.
Yeah,
It's not like you said, okay, you keep doing the
yeah,
job, so
yeah,
I will do this, and then you come, or I mean, you just
yeah,
just both of you jumped
yeah,
into it.
yeah.
And I mean, I guess to some extent, if you don't do this when you're younger and you have not much to lose, when else are you going to do
That's
it,
what we thought.
right?
We can
Yeah.
keep doing one slowly, slowly, but then time nikalta jayega. And
Yeah.
time is actually the most important currency. It's the thing we can't get back. So
Right.
I didn't want to look
And
that.
I mean, this is, and I want to talk a little bit about, your growing up. I mean, you just mentioned it. You grew up in a small town, and then and we'll talk a little bit about the scholarships you got, etc. But especially when you come from a small town where financial stability or stability is something that's really looked upon, looked forward to, etc., it becomes that much more difficult to make big decisions.
Mm,
So, how was your upbringing? Tell me a little bit about your parents and
mm.
what. And the other thing I want to say is like I've met you and I see you on screen. You are always like this total positive person. There's a lot of self-assuredness about you, and I'm sure it comes from your upbringing also, not just something that you're kind of
Yeah,
faking it or something. So it just comes from within.
yeah,
So
yeah.
tell me a little bit about your upbringing in Ambala and your
Mm,
parents, and
mm.
where did this this adventurous spirit come from?
Yeah. Well, about my parents, my dad is an entrepreneur himself. And I think when my grandfather and his fathers, they set up a steel plant and, they were operating at a certain scale. After that, when my father and his brother took over, then, they worked hard. And then my father started growing one part of the business, which he really worked hard to grow and he grew it. Right. So I have seen him go on the scooter at 8 a.m. every morning, come back at 8 p.m., work the entire day, be there in the factory, and really grow that business to a point that that business could afford paying for our bills, for our school, for our education, for our weddings, for everything till date. And, those are the businesses that are at the heart of India. They're what really make our economy because that is the green line that money coming in actually pays for your bills. Unlike a lot of startups that have got so much VC funding, including ourselves, right,
Right.
and not quite profitable actually still. So
Yeah.
I think for us, for Rohan's dad also has a similar business. So for us, the dads also always represented that scalable large businesses should and can be built which actually are profitable, and this whole thing about valuation and raising money and marketing spend, all of that is a different world, but at the end of the day your business, it has to make money. So I learned that from him. I learned hard work. Growing up, I remember he used to coach me on my English lessons. So his handwriting till date is much better than mine. And I think for all of us with so much typing, we've got used to not writing properly. So I learned a lot of that education part from him. And my mom actually is the most kind-hearted person I have known. Most people around us say the same thing. So I think I got some of that kindness, empathy from her. She's also very strong. She's also very driven. She always used to be her college captain, her school captain. So a lot of my leadership skills, communication skills actually came from her. And I think some of the warmth that she carries, I always try to take some of that. I think she's definitely still warmer than I am, but still,
Yeah.
so I think it's a great mix that they gave me, and along with that, they gave me wings, right? They never they never held me back. I mean, growing up in Ambala, we always thought that I will go to Delhi for studying. And, but they never said that, oh, no, no, you cannot leave Ambala, you have to be home. They always said, just do your best, always aim for whatever you think the next best can be, because you might know better than us, because you are doing this research, we are not.
Mhm.
And, for Singapore scholarship, in fact, for my 11th and 12th, I got that scholarship. And my dad
Right.
actually saw it in the newspaper. And he told me, why don't you apply for this? And I remember
Hmm.
my line to him was that, Papa, what are the chances that a girl from Ambala is going to be among the top 25 people in India, boys, girls included, to get this? So is there any point? And he said, you must apply. And then I said, that's true. Actually, I should apply. I mean, I did top Haryana after all. Maybe I might, who knows? So, so it was actually him who found that for me. And even after that, I think, my grandfather was always a very big inspiration. Even
Hmm.
in his time, my Bua did an MA in English as well. So
Hmm.
he encouraged girls to study, and he always, if there was any conversation in the house about, oh, after college she can get married, he always used to be like, no way, girls should never get married early. They should always study. They should always become financially independent. And today I
Hmm.
know how important financial independence is for women. It is what actually gives you the ability to do what is right for you in your life. Tomorrow, if you're in a
Correct.
bad marriage, you can't walk out unless you're financially independent, which means you are sealed for life, right? So
Correct.
so many such things happen with people, all around us we see, and their ability to go and build a career for themselves, earn their own money. I think that really gives them wings. And I think my
Yeah.
parents did exactly that. They gave me that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you've been a topper, you've been really good in studies, etc. Was it, I mean, did it come from within you, or was it, did your parents teach you? Like, what drove you to
Yeah.
academic excellence?
I'm trying to ask myself as well, because my parents never said to me that, oh, you must study, it's your exam, what are you doing? Like, we never had those conversations. I was automatically doing it, and they were always there to support, and always there through everything. But I think it was like from the start, I think from class 1, 2, 3, I remember I used to be a topper, and in our class we used to have those, little trains which they would show ki this is train number one. So Swati, train number two would be whoever has come second in class, and third like that. So I was always used to seeing my train in the front. So I always liked it like that. And any year that I didn't, I said, why am I not in the front? So like that's it. I think it was just somewhere
Yeah,
inside.
yeah,
Nobody said anything.
yeah.
And my brother was the sweetest. He always supported me a lot, and he's an entrepreneur himself. I learned so much from him. And he
Mm-hmm.
always said as well that no, no, you are a topper. Why are you not topping? You are a topper. So he always, very nicely
Yeah.
encouraged me as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, at that time, I mean, you got the scholarship to Singapore, then you went to LSE, and then, you had this once one door opens, many doors open, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
always wanted to go to Oxford, but chose
yeah,
LSE because I think they gave you more scholarship or something like that. But
yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, you've not just come out of Ambala, you've like
Hmm.
really like kind of
Yes, yes.
flown high, So when you think about when you were there, when you just got into Singapore versus now, has your idea of success changed, or who you consider success, or what you consider success has changed?
I think so. I think when you're in school, when I was in Singapore, LSE, success was always about the marks. It was always about the degree. And, I think in LSE, I remember I took this mathematics S paper. Actually, I took that in Singapore. In LSE, I took this economics special version as well. So these were courses that only like 10 people took in the entire college. And I remember I topped that in LSE. So that was like success for me at that time. But
Mm.
today, I mean, that was in 2005. Now, 20 years later, success for me, I don't even remember that exam anymore. In fact, I think, why did I do that education? I'm never using it. Chaos and dynamical systems. I think that was the name of the course. Like, I'm never going to use it for anything. I think today, 20 years on, by the way, I have to say that at different points in life, the fact that success means different things is not a bad thing.
It's a very
Because at
good
that
thing,
time,
actually. Yeah,
yeah, that time
absolutely.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad that that is what success meant, because I was
Yeah.
focused towards those goals and I could
Correct.
get to the next level. Today success means having yes, having the money to be able to afford a certain standard of living. I think, once you achieve a certain standard of living, beyond that, it is like हो तो ना, I mean, it's okay even if you don't, right? I mean, if you go for holiday twice a year, ठीक है, otherwise you might go 6 times, but who has the time anyway, right? Or you
Correct.
might go and stay in a 4 star or a 5 star, but then maybe then you will stay in a 7 star. But the difference is really not that much if you are happy
Correct.
from within. So, I think if you are happy from within, then your 4 star holiday is also pretty good. Five is though more than enough. Seven you don't need.
Correct.
But that
Very
is the
correct.
difference between going from more money to more money to more money, right? One
Yeah.
bag is actually enough, but then you might have 10, 20, 30. There's no limit. So I think in today's life, success means firstly having a certain amount of money that can give you certain luxuries. It can actually enable you to take care of yourself better, right? Because you will eat better food, you will have air purifiers in the house, you'll eat more dry fruits and raw fruits versus, food
Hmm.
that has been cooked 2 days ago because you can't afford it otherwise. So you make the healthier choices as well with more money. So success is definitely being able to do all of that. Um,
Hmm.
Now actually success is about being happy, right? Are you actually happy from inside, or is there
Hmm.
something that is eating you up? Is there something that is always, being that resisting factor in your life, which is not letting your vibration be high? And
Hmm.
if you can remove those resistances in life, you will feel successful. So, that
Yeah.
is, that the ability to have high vibration and be happy is top of things. Health, right? To have good health, that is a very, very underrated form of success, but that is actually the most important, because you can
Mhm.
have many problems in life until you have a health problem. Then you only have one
Yeah.
problem. So,
Correct.
so
Correct.
that is why being healthy, it has to be part of successfulness, of
Yeah.
being successful. Having people
So,
around you who care for you, relationships that matter, love around you, all of that is very important to be successful.
yeah. I mean, talking about success, you had a major success, sorry, talking about health, you had a major health crisis. I mean,
Yeah.
when you are raising funds and, I mean, how do you keep up? I mean, how was it for you while you're also, you've taken this risk, you're raising money and then you have a major health crisis. And so how do you handle it emotionally? How do you handle it just on a day-to-day basis? It's easy to, you know, say that, hey, keep up the spirit, but when you're actually in it, how was it for you?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, coincidentally, today I actually complete 3 years of my kidney transplant on this day
Oh
itself.
my goodness, today.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, in
Mhm.
fact, I woke up thinking that, 3 years ago, what was my day like? And I thought
Yes.
about that entire day.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I just realized that, sometimes it is useful to take a step back and think about the tough times that you've gone through. Because every
Correct.
day in life, we get so busy that, these times that have come in our life, those tough times, they came for a reason. They came to teach
Right.
us
Right.
something. And we
Mm-hmm.
forget those very fast as well.
Mm-hmm.
When things get better, we are like, oh, that was a phase, it's over. But,
Yeah.
to carry some learnings forward is not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think during that time, I was at a kidney function of 4%. My hemoglobin was 5.5. And I was literally, like, my doctor used to say, how are you going to work every day? I'm like, why won't I go to work every day? And he
Mm-hmm.
said, because, your body actually, you don't know, but it's actually empty from inside, because, the kidneys are not working. So the blood that is flowing through, it needs to be much cleaner. Like, so there are a lot of toxins that are now building up. And I said, I don't feel it. So he said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but
Yeah.
it was mind over matter. It was literally a
Yeah.
mind over matter game. And I think I was just pushing myself to get to that point where our fundraise closes, which we closed a 130 crore Series C fundraise. And then I went for transplant after that. And during
Mm-hmm.
that time, like, sometimes I was going to the hospital, I was doing my checkups. My mom, fortunately, was a match for me. So she donated a kidney. And I
Mm-hmm.
was doing that, coming back and doing investor calls, doing shareholder meetings, whatever needed to be done. And, I was able to separate the two in my mind, because I had two projects going on. It wasn't either or, it wasn't self pity, it wasn't why me. It was like, I've got these two projects going on, I'm going to do them both. And,
Mm-hmm.
having that faith in the universe that it has your back and you keep doing it, and things will work out. Why won't they?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't even ask why won't they. I would just be like, they will work out. And that's it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think you have to just, I believe actually that every individual has a lot of mental strength in them. It is in situations like these that mental strength comes out, if you let it come out. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing that stops that mental strength from coming out is your own negative self talk. So if you
Mm-hmm.
keep telling yourself that, oh no, like, I'm so scared, or, I don't know what's going to happen, and, you keep talking like that, you will attract that negative energy. But as long as
Yeah.
you can control your self talk, that strength will emerge. It's there in
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
Right, right. And I mean, the thing is, though, what is it that helps? Is it that you sit quietly for 10 minutes, or do you write? Do you sing? Do you listen? I mean, like, there's got to be some tool that, or is it just work that gets you out? Like, it's sort of,
Mhm.
we all get to this space sometimes where there's a downward spiral, right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
like, I mean, it's hard to be positive all the time. I mean, there are
No,
times you
absolutely.
just,
I have downward
yeah,
spirals.
yeah,
Sometimes I am not positive all the time. I have
yeah.
days when I will, just be crying, and Rowan will be like, "What are these waterworks for?" And I'll be like, "I don't know." Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go through those days as well. But I think I have figured out that the only way to come out of a downward spiral is gratitude. Is
Mhm,
that you have to apply this thing, what I call the choose method, in that time.
mhm,
First
mhm,
is that you let yourself feel the way you are feeling. You can't fight it.
Mhm.
If you're feeling a certain way, if you're feeling low, things can't be good all the time. Something may not happen that you want. It's okay, right? So you don't have to deny those feelings that, oh, they don't exist. They do exist.
Right.
So I
Right.
recognize. And then
Mm-hmm.
I just ask myself, keep tell me honestly, only to yourself, why are you
Mm-hmm.
feeling like that? What is the trigger, right? And as you go deeper, you will think that it's this, but then you'll be like, it's not that. It's this, it's not that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I know it's this. Okay, fine. So then I
Yeah.
ask myself, ki, okay, but is that thing really that important? And then it'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
actually, it's not. And
Yeah.
then I will say, okay, at this point, think of what are you actually most thankful for right now? What is going well in your life right now?
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Mm-hmm.
will, think about Rohan, I'll think about my family, friends, work, things that I'm grateful for. And then
Mm-hmm.
I tell myself, okay, just do me one favor. Only think about these things. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you don't feel a certain way. I'm not saying what you told me is not true. It's all true. I just want
Mm-hmm.
you to only think about this. Can you do that? And then I try to do that. Right? I try to do that. And at that point, I think what works very well after that is to put on your shoes and go for a walk and
Yeah.
listen to some music, right? And then you say,
Yes.
life is actually good. I don't know why I was feeling like that. And then you come out, right? And when you come out of that, then you feel like
Yeah.
actually it's all fine only. Like it really is
Yeah.
not a big deal. So
Yeah.
these things are normal, these feelings are normal, and we all go through it. But we have to make an effort to do this exercise to pull ourselves out. Because if you
Correct.
don't, that is where things like depression start. Every day you'll feel like that. Then you'll stay in that hole and you won't come out,
Correct.
right? So you
Correct.
have to give yourself that push because tell yourself that if you don't, who will? Why will
Correct.
anyone else do it? It's not their job to do it. Your life,
Correct.
your body, only your job, nobody else's.
Correct. Correct.
So you have to
And I
push
agree. I find that always going for a walk doesn't matter what the weather
yeah.
always helps. I'm
I,
like not, I'm not
yeah,
working or walking indoors. I have
yeah,
to get out for like an
yeah,
hour, like
exactly,
just breathe the
exactly. It
air.
just really helps. Correct.
Yeah. So there are some questions, especially professionally. There is
Yeah.
a question about Priyanka saying, "How do I join you? I'm ready to put decent amount of hours a day. How many hours do we need to invest every day? And bare minimum, how much can we earn to start with?" So tell a little bit about how should one start their journey?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about Earn Karo as an app, then you just need to download the app. And you can see how it works. You can send me a message. I can have somebody from the team guide you, and then you can start identifying what are the networks where you can actually start posting and start earning. So that would be the Earn Karo journey. If you're talking about ready to work with us at Cash Karo as a career, then you can email me on swati@cashkaro.com. I'll have a look at if we have any openings and we can get back to you from there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And there is another question that says, what's one value or belief that guided you through every phase of life?
I think it is what I mentioned that you have to believe that the universe has your back. In fact, long back I read this quote and it became my favorite, which said that live life like it's rigged in your favor. So you
Yeah.
always think कि अच्छा ही होगा मेरे साथ तो अच्छा ही होगा because life is on my side. So
Yeah.
that is like something that I try to remind myself. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you hear motivational speakers, you see speakers, entrepreneurs, when they are talking, na, they're also talking to themselves. They're not just talking to the audience. So when I
Correct.
keep telling this to people, it's also a reminder for me myself that
Correct.
that is how the belief keeps getting reinforced.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
And Divya is asking, how can a normal person earn money from Cash Karo?
Yeah. So
Mhm.
from Cash Karo, you can earn money on all your online shopping. So if you download the app, next time you're shopping on whether it's Mamaearth or Nykaa or Booking.com or anything that you're doing online, just start your journey at Cash Karo, go from there, then make your transaction. So you will keep getting cash back every time and you can transfer it to your bank when it's confirmed. So it's real money coming back to you. And for Earn Karo, how can a normal person make money? Well, you are part of WhatsApp groups, right? You're part of family groups, you're part of your building group. People asking all the time, what should I buy? Where should I buy from? Just make sure you start making your affiliate link and sending. Don't just send a regular Amazon Flipkart link. Paste it on Earn Karo, get your link and then send it. So that when people
Mm.
shop by it, you always earn commission.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's a request for your email, so just swati at
That's
cashkaro.com.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
And So also there is the question about Swati says, I'm a member of Cash Karo and would like to know
Mhm.
what boosted, what made you start Cash Karo? Why did you, maybe
Okay,
your
I see
yeah,
the questions now. Okay, I see
yeah,
Sharmila to use cash.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Okay. Email ID and LinkedIn profile as well. I'll post it here. Otherwise,
yeah.
LinkedIn profile is just Swati Bhargava. You search from there. My Instagram is Swati DB. I'm quite active on Instagram, so that's a great place to
Mhm.
connect. Even better than LinkedIn, I would say, because instead
Yeah.
of I check myself, LinkedIn it gets too flooded as well.
Mhm.
Um, so okay, sorry, I you asked me a
What
question
made you
earlier.
start? What made you start Cash Karo is what you want to know.
Yeah, so what made us start was actually seeing that the cashback model was doing very well in US and UK, in China, in Europe, everywhere there is like a successful cashback app. So when we saw that it is doing so well abroad, we thought in India also it will do well because people like to save money, and product market fit will be good. So that's why we started here.
So there was a story circulating. Is it true that when you were trying to get your honeymoon tickets, that's when you kind of thought
Yeah, that's
about
true.
it, etc.?
Yeah. We got 20,000 in cash back when we did our honeymoon hotel booking. And that's when
Yeah,
we were like, what is this app that gives you money back for shopping? So
yeah.
that's how it all started. Yeah. Yes.
And there are a bunch of questions, like two, three questions about
Yeah.
getting
I think we're also
referrals
a
to
little out of
Goldman
time now,
Sachs.
no?
So I really don't
Yeah.
know how that works. But
Uh, okay, referral to Goldman Sachs. I'm sorry, I don't have any because now I left Goldman like 15 years ago. So nobody I
yeah.
know works there anymore. Um,
I know. One thing I wanted to ask you, Swati, is what kind of an experience did working at a big company give you that prepared you to do a startup? Because one of the things today, a lot of young people feel that working in big company is a waste of time. I want to start my company. What do you suggest? Do you think people should jump into a startup, or working at a big company would give you some background? What do you feel?
yeah. I think unless you are crazy, passionate, convinced about an idea, start in a big company
Mhm.
because it does give you a good grounding. Like in my case, also Goldman taught me so much. We did. I mean, I learned Excel, PowerPoint, how to communicate, how to deal with seniors. Working in a professional space tells you the importance of processes, professionalism, the way that I used to work on Excel at that time, I would just look up and be like this, like typing, right? I was so good at that time. Now I'm like
Yeah.
so bad. I mean, I'm okay still, but that is different. Like because I was doing
Yeah.
it and there was a
Mhm.
requirement for it. And it made me work very hard. I worked from 8 a.m. till midnight every single day for 5 years.
Mhm.
But the kind of grilling, grounding skills that it gave me, it really
Yeah.
has helped us in our journey. And also when you start off, right, people always look at pedigree of founder. Who is the founder? So if you've
Mhm.
done a good work experience somewhere, then it gives you credibility as well. So I
Yeah.
think it's a good idea to start in a big company or in a startup. Idea is to get work experience, in a place where you feel you can learn. Not like a three-member startup, but like a reasonably scaled startup or a larger company. But if you have an idea which you are, really been passionate about, you've done your research and you want to get into business not just because it's a sexy fad that's on Shark Tank, but because you actually are convinced and you understand that it's going to take a lot of you to build that,
Mhm.
then it's okay to start it right after college. Otherwise, get some work experience.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I think it's that everything you start may not be a success right off the
Absolutely.
bat. So you got to be ready for a 10-year commitment minimum when you start something. I always tell people that you can see success only in every 10-year increments.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
between, there's a lot of up and down, which might even out in the long
true.
term, who knows?
That's true. Yeah.
So just a couple of quick questions. What's your guilty pleasure? What do you, when you want to switch everything off?
Online
What
shopping.
shows do you watch? Do you see movies? Do you ski? What do you do?
I shop online via cash. I do that. I mean, obviously, I go to Instagram because partly I'm also trying to get ideas for content and see what's working.
Hmm.
I like to watch, I mean, Rohan and I both like to watch first post on YouTube because, I think her content is good. Palki is like good at breaking down different
Yeah.
ideas, and the news part also is interesting. Otherwise, if nothing else, I just watch comedy on YouTube. I just search for stand-up comedy India, and whatever comes, I watch that because it just really lightens you up as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about, I mean, just as a wrap up, about there's a lot of pressure on women. We need more women entrepreneurs, we need women at
Yeah.
work, etc. And a lot of times women put their hand up to whether stay at home or whatever, even before it's asked, etc. So in your experience, I mean, you were raised, I mean, in your household you have a boy and a girl, and you've been raised very equally. So tell me a little bit about, through your parents and as well as your own experience, what would be your advice to not just women but even parents who are
Yeah.
raising.
Yeah, I always, oh, sorry, something just fell around me. Okay. I always tell all parents that you must raise your girls to be ambitious. Ambition is a good thing. Don't tell them that why will you study? What will you gain by studying? You only have to get married eventually. Like that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thought process, those kind of lines, those kind of social taunts that have been hearing for years, they are absolutely unnecessary and they're demotivating. And they
Mm-hmm.
also make women feel worthless that, okay, what will we do if we do this? Like in India, there is this quote of like, "कौन सा तीर मार लिया ये कर लिया तो क्या तीर मार लेंगे?" Right? So it's like,
Correct.
what will I really achieve by doing it?
Correct.
It's we by doing that, by just saying statements like that, we are feeding into that unconscious bias in the society in women, which reduces their self-worth. It makes them
Mm-hmm.
feel like their career is not important, and it makes them feel like education is just a way to get a good husband. So
Right.
it's those things that we need to neutralize completely in society if we are to move forward as equals for men and women.
Mm-hmm.
All the stats show that women-led companies are happier, they have good results. In many cases, they are better than men. They're never less. They might be
Mm-hmm.
equal. But that kind of thing is just not there, when in many parts of society. So I think as parents, what we should do is just encourage our girls to dream, to think big, to not tell them that they are supposed to be a certain way, and just let
Mm-hmm.
them be ambitious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
just let them be. Actually, is also a good
Right.
line.
Right.
Yeah,
And let you be, I mean, like each
yeah,
woman putting herself ahead and saying,
yeah,
I mean, one of the things I always tell women is it's okay to start the sentence with I want. It doesn't have to be always we want. Like
yeah,
somehow you
yeah,
feel like one of the quotes I really don't like is, like if you educate a man, you educate a man. If you educate a woman, you educate a village. But don't put that expectation on her. It's okay
yeah,
for her
yeah,
to just be
yeah.
selfish. It
Correct,
just so
absolutely.
happens that she'll
Yeah,
educate
yeah,
the village, but don't
correct,
put it as
correct.
an expectation.
Yeah,
And I have to wrap up by asking you your own brand. I mean, you're building your own brand now. So, what has been your insight? What do people like to, I mean, if you think about it as a science,
yeah,
not as a thing, like what have you seen work in building your own brand? Or what is the advice you give to people,
yeah.
influencers who are using your platform?
I think the biggest pillar of personal branding is authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what people are attracted towards. When you present yourself as a normal person who is not trying to hide, pretend, fake it, right? You're just being yourself and you're sharing what you're going through in the
Mm-hmm.
most organic, raw, real way possible. That is what people are attracted to. Like even
Mm-hmm.
in my own social media, I've seen that any post that we do which we think about too much, we try to make it look pretty, we try to like doctor it, it will always perform lesser than the very candid video I just did because I felt like it. And
Mm-hmm.
those ones always do the best because there is a lot of fake stuff on the internet. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
it's fake, it's just that it's made to look a certain way, right? So
Correct.
people will put on a certain character for a certain podcast or for a certain ad or to promote your brand. So what is refreshing is to see, just raw natural energy. And I
Mm-hmm.
think life is all about energy. People are all about energy. That energy comes across in your video,
Right.
in your communication, in how you feel, what you
Mm.
say, and that is what
Yeah.
people are attracted to.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
are able to present that authentic self two people, then I think they will build that relationship with you where they will trust you. And if they
Right.
trust you, then they will follow you, they will, be a part of that community.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the objective, right? It's not the followers or the likes or the numbers of it.
Correct.
So that's why, the first collab I ever did was actually with Audi when I
Mm-hmm.
had 16,000 followers on Instagram. And
Mm-hmm.
16,000 is not a big number. I mean, people have like millions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I remember when I met Balbir, who's the CEO of Audi India, I asked him that, if I may, like, what made you choose me as your ambassador? Because I know that there are people who have more following than me.
Yeah.
And the way Audi had done their strategy was that they actually had Bollywood people. They had Kareena Kapoor, Saif together as a couple, Karan Johar, and they had, who else? Kiara Laladwani. And, from the entrepreneur crew, they had Dipinder and myself. And it was
Mm-hmm.
around Zomato IPO, so Deepi couldn't post anything. So it was
Mm-hmm.
only me from the entrepreneur community.
Yeah.
And and it's true that, during that time in the entrepreneur community as well, there weren't a lot of women who were actually active on social media. There were a
Mm-hmm.
couple, but not that many. And even though it was so Balbir said, it's not about the number of 16K. It's that we feel there's a brand connect. We like your energy. You're authentic. When you speak, it looks like you are speaking from the
Mm-hmm.
heart. And also, it is about the quality of followers. So most of my
Mm-hmm.
audience was um, entrepreneur, other entrepreneurs, other founders. So it was high quality. It wasn't, bots or likes that we have purchased, or, ads that
Correct.
we've got followers. So it was that audience which they wanted to target as well. So I think as you
Mm-hmm.
evolve in that journey, like different opportunities will come up and they will shape you in a certain way. And that
Mm-hmm.
is when I did my first collabs with fashion brands because I said, hey, I'm shooting for Audi. Can we collab and can you give me outfits to wear? I didn't have that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff to wear. So people said, yeah, why not? And then I learned, oh, collab is possible. What is a collab? So I learned that way,
Mm-hmm.
So each thing teaches you something. And then I think as long as, for me, building a personal brand is not the objective. It is not P1 at all. It is a byproduct of me
Mm-hmm.
putting myself out there for Cash Karo. And that's what I've seen that, founders putting themselves out there for the brand is the reason why they actually get into personal branding. I didn't start
Mm-hmm.
off thinking that, oh, I want to make Swati Bhargava brand. To me, Swati Bhargava's identity is founder of Cash Karo. So
Correct.
it is for my brand only. But yes, a byproduct is that people, when they start knowing us, then they start relating to us as individuals as well.
Correct.
And that is okay
Correct.
because our identity should also be beyond our brand. Why is it that
Yeah.
only Cash Karo is meant to be me? Cash Karo happened in the last 10 years. What about me who's 42 years old?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
Cash Karo is not meant to take up every moment of those 10 years, although it does, but still,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
not meant to, right? So,
That 10 years is worth
yeah.
the other 32,
Yeah,
in terms
exactly.
of
So everywhere
intensity.
builds up to each other, things build up. But
Yeah.
I think, if you just do what feels right and do the right thing for your
Mm-hmm.
company, for your stakeholders, for your team, for yourself, for your partner, I think then you end up making the right choices and let that be the guiding force forward.
So, who's a celebrity you admire, India or internationally, that you think they did a really nice job of
Yeah.
representing who they are?
Well, I think Indra Nooyi does it very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Indra Nooyi is very honest in the challenges that one faces, in their life, in their journey. And, there is, so I really admire her. I think if I see, even in Hollywood, someone like Tom Cruise, I mean, the effort he puts in for his work, it is just sheer respect, right? Where work is an art. So you see that in people as well. So it's not just for the way Tom Cruise looks, but it's what goes behind his work
Correct.
ethic that is super
Mm-hmm.
admirable.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
who we pick up different things from.
Right, right. Great. Thank you so much for your time, Swati. And
Thank you.
I look
Lovely
forward to
speaking with you
staying
as
in touch and
always.
hopefully see
Yeah.
you soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll
And
see you
thank you
soon.
so much for your time.